Welcome to the Shed and Shine podcast. I am Gino Wickman. This is where Rob Dube and I help driven entrepreneurs shed their shit, free their true selves, unlock true entrepreneurial freedom, and shine. We truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, and we hope to make a huge impact on you. Hello and welcome back. This riff I call How to Run Your Business on Intuition. The idea here is I'm going to show you how to go from your head to your heart, ... to your head. So again, from your head to your heart to your head. So what we're going to bring together in this riff is the outer world and the inner world. I'm going to show you how to balance those two things because that's what we need to do as driven entrepreneurs. But whether it's a big meeting that you have coming up, a big employee issue you're dealing with, a big sales pitch you have, a speech you're going to give, financial issues you're dealing with, whatever the business thing that's going on, I want to walk you through the process of how to deal with those things much more effectively by tapping into your intuition, which always has the right answer. And so what we're going to do first is the idea is to stop and breathe. And so you've heard us say this before, but we've got to go slow to go fast. And as I share this, stopping and breathing is a very simple discipline, but it will get you there. It will get you out of your head and into your heart or your body. And I want to give you an example because what I realized about 2 years ago, after over 20 years of doing sessions with my clients, that if I would start every session, these are full day, 7 plus or minus hour sessions, and if we would start every session before we got to work by just having the entire team, it's typically a leadership team of 3 to 7 people, just take 2 quiet minutes, close their eyes and breathe, I know it would be a better session because we're getting them out of their heads and into their body. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I've only done it once. Okay, and so I know out there you're saying, why wouldn't you do this? Be brave, stop being a chicken, do this with your clients in every session. So back off. I got it. I'm working on my issues as to why I have a block there. But, the reality of it is, that my EOS life and the work I do with my clients in that session room, it's all very outer world focused. And this inner world stuff, is just being introduced to the world. So, in the interest of maybe giving you a reason for that. But nonetheless, I know the session would be better. So with all of that said, I wanted to give you that example. And that is, again, when you stop and breathe, you go from your head to your heart. Now, I'm calling it heart. You get to call it whatever word you want to call it, but this is getting us out of our head and into our body, into our soul, into our true self, into our intuition, okay? And so that's the main word we're going to use for this in this riff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through an exercise. And so we're going to practice this real time with the biggest issue you're facing in your business right now. And so here we go. Now, as always, if you're driving, I urge you to pull over. It'll be more effective, but you can actually do this while you're driving. But again, I hope you're sitting somewhere and you have the ability to kind of close your eyes and breathe. But worst case, it'll still work. With that said, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to have you start by thinking of your biggest business issue. And we're going to take our time on this because I want this to be very, very effective. And so you might be dealing with about 5 of them. Just pick the biggest of the 5. What is your biggest issue that you're dealing with right now? I want you to think about that issue. If you haven't come up with it yet, hit pause, because it's vital that you decide, and you can only pick one. You can't do this with multiple issues. It can only be one for this to be effective. And assuming you have it, what I want you to now do, ideally, is close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. And I'm literally doing this with you right now, playing along, thinking of my biggest issue. I have 3 companies, so contrary to what some believe, I still do deal with business issues every single day. And so here we go, 3 deep breaths. In thinking of that business issue, hopefully you're dropping down into your body. I want you to think about where you feel it in your body. And continue to focus on that feeling and that spot, and continue to breathe. And now as you're doing that, the answer is going to come, but right now I want you to sit with it. And sometimes it will come in a minute, and sometimes it won't come for 2 hours. It will take literally 2 hours for it to come. But all I want you to do right now is have this experience of thinking about your biggest business issue, breathing, dropping down into your body, feeling where it is in your body. And while you're doing that, I now want you to answer this question. What is the right thing to do? You can say this in your head. You don't have to say it out loud, but you can certainly say it out loud as well. But what is the right thing to do? And as you're feeling it, as you're breathing, as you're asking that question, eventually, and for some of you, you've already got the answer, eventually you will see or feel the right answer. A lot of times it will show up as an image. A lot of times it will show up as a feeling. A lot of times you actually hear a solution, but you will see or feel the right answer. Now, as you're thinking about the issue, as you're breathing, hopefully eyes are closed, you're feeling it in your body, you've asked the question, what is the right thing to do? You may discover a block. So there might be a very strong sensation in your body that may very well be a block. And we've talked about this in lots of episodes. And so please, if you haven't gone back to episode 1 and worked your way through these podcasts, it's vital because it's the foundation. And if you haven't read Shine, please read Shine. And maybe you need to reread Shine. But blocks will come up with this process, and it's your soul screaming at you to finally shed this layer. And so as you're thinking about the issue, you may have a block that comes up around people pleaser issues. There's something, some conditioning, something happened in your life where you became a people pleaser. You got to go to the root of what that is and shed that. It's not serving you well. It might have something to do with fear of loss. There might have been something in your life that happened, a traumatic experience, and you constantly live with this fear of loss. And so if it is, for example, people-pleasing, or it is, for example, fear of loss, these types of issues, these types of blocks are preventing you from making great decisions in your business. And as we've talked about in previous episodes, sometimes you just need to sit with that sensation and let it dissipate. And as it dissipates, the right answer and the right solution is going to come to the surface. Your intuition is going to tell you. Now, with that, assuming we're right on track and the answer has come and you've processed a block, and again, if you need to hit pause just to process a block, once you have your answer, once you are clear, now it's time to go back up to your head. So remember the process. We talked about how I'm going to take you from your head to your heart, and then ... to your head. And so here's where we now go back up to your head, because now that your intuition has given you the answer, now you need to use your head, your mind, your brain to then take that answer, now that it's clear, and lay out a plan. And once you have your plan, you go forward and execute that plan. Now, very important, if the answer doesn't come in that 1 minute to 2 hour time frame I gave you, it will come. Sometimes it takes days. Sometimes it takes weeks. Don't rush it. The answer will come, and don't force a decision if it's not coming. It will come. But I do have a discipline for when the solution is not coming to me, and it almost always comes in an instant. But when it doesn't come within that 2 hour time frame, for lack of a better term, what I do is I do something I call putting a stake in the ground. And I don't know how on earth this universally works, but it does. Knock on wood, it has so far for 35 years in business. But I put a stake in the ground, and let's pretend the decision has to be made by next Wednesday. There's a deadline, there's something going on, but what I will do is I will just simply say, the answer needs to come by next Wednesday at noon. And somehow, some way, it always does. Sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes when I'm sleeping, sometimes in a dream, sometimes as I'm driving down the road, but I put a stake in the ground. So try that discipline. But nonetheless, let's pretend the answer came, went up, back up to our head. We have the plan, we go forward, and we execute. And I want to restate what I said, and that is most of the time, the answer will come in an instant. And so when you really practice this, again, big issue comes up. You breathe, take a few deep breaths, think about it, drop down in your body, get your answer, then back up to your head, establish the plan. Those things can happen within seconds when you master this. Just simply don't rush it. It's a discipline. It's a practice. And so with all of that said, again, we're talking about tapping into your intuition. It's always there. The answer is always there. It's just sadly, it's buried. It's buried behind our ego. It's buried behind our mind, overthinking. It's buried behind that suit of armor that we put on back when we were young. It's buried behind those layers that we have to shed, but it is in there. And so again, the title of this riff is How to Run Your Business on Intuition. I strongly urge you to do this regularly. I hope you did it with me today on this episode. And once you get this discipline and this process down, I urge you to bring it into your personal life. So work on issues in your personal life, because it's the exact same process. And we just simply don't have time in this podcast episode to take you through an example in your personal life, but you can certainly go back to where I took you through the exercise and just go through it with a personal issue you're dealing with. Let me lead you through it. And so again, it's going from your head to your heart to your head. The idea is to get into your heart, your body, your soul, your true self, your intuition. And then once you have it, that's what your intuition is used for. What your head is used for is for the strategy and the plan.
Thank you for listening in today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, and please tune in for the next episode. Until then, if you'd like to see where you are on your true self journey, go to shedandshinepodcast.com to take the true self assessment and receive personalized guidance. If you're all ready to begin your inner world journey with Rob and myself, please join us for the next round of the 10 Disciplines group coaching program. We wish you all the best in freeing your true self. Stay focused, and much love.